Current to live streaming at 5, 4.
Good evening, everyone. The meeting of the board is now called to order at 7:02 p.m. Before we begin tonight's meeting, I'm required to make the following announcement. The meeting has been taped off to ensure social distancing. Please be sure to sit in the available rows at least 4 seats apart from anyone who is not a family member. In the unlikely event that the fire alarms go off, please exit the building quickly and quietly. Evacuate the building using the following exits. Will anyone need assistance in case of such an event? Once outside, please move away from the building and keep fire lanes and entrances clear. Do not re-enter the building until you are told to do so. Please turn off all electronic devices during the meeting, and please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to rescind the approval of Jennifer Engler Henry's 6-month probationary appointment as a personal care aide, which was approved at the March 17th, 2020 Board of Education meeting? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to rescind the acceptance of Jennifer Engler Henry's resignation from her monitor position, which was approved at the March 17th, 2020 Board of Education meeting?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to rescind the approval of Lindsay Nolan's 6-month probationary appointment as a personal care aide, which was approved at the March 17th, 2020 Board of Education meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to rescind the acceptance of Lindsay Nolan's resignation from her monitor position, which was approved at the March 17th, 2020 Board of Education meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? We have a motion to approve the appointment of Katie Berner-Wallen as the School Improvement Grant Coordinator at a stipend of $5,000 effective December 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2021.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to approve the recall from layoff status of Jacqueline Spiazia to a full-time teaching assistant position, step 2 of the LSCTA contract effective August 31st, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to accept with regret the resignation for the purpose of retirement of Michael Gall from his laborer position effective September 30th, 2020.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to approve the placement of Catherine Leone on layoff status from her personal care aide position effective August 31st, 2020.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to approve the placement of Janelle Davidson on layoff status from her personal care aide position effective August 31st, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving into our discussion items. First up, we have our transportation supervisor with Mr. Odie.
This is Michael from the board. Burglar and Ms. DiMartino. We're going to need to move down to the seats because they're going to be bringing the screen down. So, and then you take a seat in any one of the rows that are taped off if you want.
Do we need to bring these papers with us?
Yeah, you should. Yeah, bring them back. Sure. Now, Barry, you can, this mic is live, so you could, if you want to take it off the stand, you can turn it to that.
4 seats apart.
4 seats apart.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. As you know, I'm Perry O'Dim, your transportation supervisor. I've been with you since 2011, and I look forward to each and every school year that we come out and have the ability to serve the students of our district. This year, with the focus on the post-pandemic return to what's the new normal, I felt it very important for us to review some of the things we're doing in the transportation department that make it so important to all of our staff members, bus drivers, mechanics, transportation office staff members, bus attendants, and again, bus drivers, to impose upon our students the importance of getting back into school and doing it safely. So the best way that I can explain that to you and explain the values that we take in upholding the school's values and board's values is how we train our people and train our staff. So as Dr. Gluzzo knows, yesterday he stopped in and seen for the first time for transportation a distance learning module of our New York State mandated refresher. Prince High School Principal Chris Cook kicked it off for us, welcomed us back for the 2021 school year, and we had the opportunity to instruct virtually in that distance learning module, not only staff members, drivers, and attendants and mechanics of Lakeshore Central School District, but also the bus drivers and bus attendants for the Seneca Nation transportation staff and the bus drivers office staff for the North and bus attendants for North Collins Elementary School. So sitting in this room right here, we had 50 people, but all in all, in that presentation, we were over 125 people. Some of the items that we spoke about at that training seminar, I handed out to you for backup references, just for some handouts of what we worked with. Keep in mind, it's a New York State mandated refresher, so it's 2.5 hours long, but it really imposes some of the core values that we're teaching our transportation staff to be the best possible support staff they can to get our kids to and from school safely. So just a couple of items that I handed out to you with Ms. DiMartino's assistance. First, that large blue packet. It's really the Bible for transportation. It's called the SABSTAT. It's kind of a quirky acronym, but it stands for School Bus Safety is one bus stop at a time. And for us, it's really that simple. It gives every single statistic of fatality and injury in the school bus industry across not just New York State, but the entire nation since 1974. Every statistic, every trait, every single possible configuration of an incident, accident, or fatality in the school bus industry. Why is this so important to us as transportation professionals? Because we learn from mistakes that people have made. And if you learn from the mistakes people make, you're pretty good. You do a pretty good job of preventing those mistakes from happening again. This is something we go through each and every year. It's for every transportation staff member, and it's something that we live by. And the great thing about it is in between bus runs, before bus runs, after bus runs, we're reading it. We're constantly refreshing ourselves with traits in the industry, and it allows us to prevent accidents from happening in the future. Two other things I wanted to point out about some of the training that we've been doing are the smaller handouts. If you look at the double page handout, it's core 2, and it stresses upon the emotional stress that some of our students and staff members have been going throughout the entirety of the pandemic. And it stresses the importance of trauma education of not only staff members, but how to treat those items with students who ride our buses every day, every afternoon. Again, it's our frame of mind makes a difference, the role of attitude and safety in children. And those are something that's a topic, a core value that our students, not our students, but our drivers and attendants went through for our state refresher just yesterday. And finally, the second 1 hour presentation that we went through by Dawn-Marie Dotterell, by Al Durrett from North Collins Elementary, was our core one, our sights and signals, refreshing bus drivers on how to use all of the state lights properly and all of the emergency equipment on school buses properly. So those are some of the items that our staff have been going through. As I touched earlier with the transportation department tour, some of the focus, the majority of the focus we have is not only on student and staff safety, but it is on the safety protocols and practices we put into procedure for the transportation department. Because right now, every parent in our district, every parent across the state is saying, is it safe to put my child back in school? More importantly, from us, from the transportation standpoint, we want to reassure parents that it's not only safe to put their child back in school and healthy to put their child back in school, but it's safe to put their child on a school bus. And that's a pretty tough ticket to hold up today, especially with all of the items that are floating around through media and all of the restrictions that have been placed upon us over the past 60 days. We need to do our due diligence and hold our vigilance to sanitizing clean buses, making sure staff members are using personal protective equipment, hand sanitizing, just a constant refresher, not only for staff members, drivers and attendants and mechanics, but for students. So some of the things we're doing are outlined in the safety protocols and procedures for Lakeshore Transportation Department for the 2021 school year. Take it, you can review it. We've gotten as far as marking, as you are aware, marking school bus seats that are not able to be utilized. So we practice social distancing on the bus with our passengers. All of our passengers are mandated to wear mouth and nose covering while on the bus. All of our passengers are urged to wash their hands with soap and water prior to boarding the bus. We have hand sanitizer available on the buses. We're training our staff members how to use it, to distribute it. We also have disposable face masks that passengers can wear if they do not have a face mask. We do not want a bus driver or a bus attendant looking at a 6-year-old or 7-year-old child saying, wait, we cannot have you board the bus because you don't have a face mask. We're going to say, good afternoon, good morning. Here's a disposable face mask for you to use. Dispose it while you get in the building. Come on board. Let's get you to school. Let's enjoy your day. Right? That's why we're here. We're here to keep our kids safe. We're here to keep them happy and have a productive day at school. A couple of other things that we're doing behind the scenes to make sure that all of our staff and students are safe. First and foremost, as you walk through the newly renovated garage for mechanics base, a couple of things that you would have seen around is some of the EPA-approved disinfectant spray in the spray bottles on cabinets. Right next to them are stacks of interior cabin air filters for all of our school buses. So each school bus has 4 interior air cabin filters. Every time that vehicle comes in for service, for preventive maintenance service, our mechanics are removing those filters if they can be cleaned and sanitized, or clean them and sanitizing them. If they're too worn or too dirty, the mechanics are replacing those filters. Once they replace the filters, they disinfect the filters with the EPA-approved disinfectant. Once the mechanics are done going through the preventive maintenance schedules, they physically take our EPA-approved disinfectant wipes, wipe down any areas that they've worked on, disinfect the vehicle, park the vehicle in the yard, store it properly and secure it for our drivers the next morning. So we're doing our due diligence. We're doing our best with the procedures and policies we have in place. And more importantly, we're training our staff how to do it correctly. Started off today with our school bus safety team going through all of the training of disinfecting and cleaning school buses, which they'll continue to relay on to our students during orientation. And it's continuing on tomorrow with our mechanic staff and training and teaching all of our routed bus drivers and attendants throughout the day tomorrow. throughout the day Thursday, and drivers from the Seneca Nation throughout the day tomorrow afternoon. So we're trying our best with that. Included in that protocols and procedures packet are actual schematics of each type of school bus that we use here at Lakeshore Central Schools, with all of the markings on student capacities. And I'm asked over and over and over again, well, how many children can you put on the bus while you're socially distanced? Well, to keep it as simple as possible, our 77 passenger buses have 13 seated positions. That's 13 seats on that bus that can be used. 3 students fit in a seat. So if we have a household with 3 family members out of 1 household for cohorting, we can seat 3 seats, 3 students in that 1 seat. So minimum, if we go 1 child per seat, 13 seats on a 77 passenger school bus. If we go 2 per seat, we just multiply it from there. So our bus loads are going to vary anywhere from 10 all the way up to 20. That's what we have routed with our hybrid model. One nice concept that we have in place, thanks to the phenomenal staff that I'm blessed with to have, who keep my feet on the ground in the office every single day, is that we are not only entering the hybrid model for transportation schedules, but we're ready to enter that model. And we've practiced that model, and we've explained it to all of our staff. So I'm very secure and very confident with staff carrying out a hybrid model with different groups of students on different days. In addition to that, that model is created and written, so we can easily go from a hybrid model 2 days per week for one group to a full remote model to a full in-person, 100% in-person model at that click of a switch. So that's the way our routes are set up this year. We're prepared for it. Are you truly ready for it? We're prepared for it, you know, because you never know what's coming next. And that's one thing we've learned, not only in the education system this year, but in the transportation system. You never know what's around that next corner, so you better have your foot covering that brake just in case, right? So that's what I have for you. Can I entertain any questions about anything I've spoken about? Can I entertain any questions about the tour we've taken for the transportation department and the beautiful upgrades we had in the capital project?
I think you answered our questions over there related to the project and the tour. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, thank you. I truly appreciate your time, and thank you for allowing me to speak with you this evening.
Good evening. My name is Chris Willard. Myself and Linda Bantle co-chair the bus safety team, and we are honored that you have invited us here this evening. It takes a certain character to be part of a bus safety team. Everything our team does is composed and or designed by our team. You can't put a value on a child's life. We can't replace a child if we lose them, but together we can teach them the importance of how much we value their safety. We have always presented to the elementary students, but last year we had the pleasure of presenting to our middle school students as well. We performed emergency evacuation drills throughout the district and taught our middle school students how to evacuate a school bus in the event of a fire. When a driver steps onto their bus, they instantly become responsible for the lives of many young individuals. With that responsibility comes the assurance of making a promise to the child's parents that they will transport them to and from school safely. A very important part of our program is the Eagle's Nest Incentive Program. This program is designed to encourage safe ridership skills and appropriate behavior while riding on the bus. Our team has raised and spent well over $8,000 for this program. This money raised included the purchase of gift cards to be given to our students, rewarding them for the behavior on the bus.
has to say.
I think that when the bus safety team comes to the schools, they have a fun and creative way to teach students the rules and ways to stay on the bus. And for example, when there was Jeopardy at the elementary schools and in sixth grade, the bus safety team found a way to reenact fire in the bus with smoke. So it was fun.
Emily, what's the most important thing to you about bus safety?
They teach you what to do if anything happens to your bus driver and how to evacuate the bus, or if something starts on fire, and teach you about the danger zone, how to stay safe.
And what's your most favorite memory about bus safety?
I like the puppet shows and the little fortune game that we got to play, and getting to go out of the back of the bus.
And our last one.
What I like about safety, they teach me about staying away of the danger zone, and the puppet show teaches me how to be kind and be nice to my friends.
Yes, our puppet shows have become very popular in the schools. Last year, when the buildings closed, we had 30 puppet shows booked to all of the pre-K in our town, which is very few, but the rest were all the preschools in Hamburg virtually had requested for us to come and teach their pre-K how to be safe on the school bus. And the first words to me when I called and gave them our sales pitch, they said, we wish that our school districts offered something like that for our pre-K. So we would like for you to come. We also do puppet shows at the private schools and as well as all of our elementary buildings here at Lake Shore. We have 7 different age level appropriate puppet shows. They're all different and they're all based on bullying and kindness. Now I'd like to introduce to you the bus safety team. On my left is Karen Banzer. She's been a driver for 18 years, and if she's having a bad day, her students make it better. Amy Guest on the right, a driver for 12 years, honored to be a member, loves using the puppets to teach students kindness. On my left is Anna Holscher, who is a bus aide and who has been here for 12 years. She enjoys teaching the students how to cross and loves seeing their faces every day. And on the right is Kelly Dow, a driver of 6 years. Being part of bus safety allows her to teach the importance of safety to our children. On the left is Teresa Perry, 6 years of driver. And it means the world to her to be part of the bus safety team and pass on everything she learns about safety. And on the right is Brooke Kazmarek, also 6 years, honored to be a member of bus safety. Using her bus safety knowledge is very important to her to keep her students safe. And that's me, and that's my bus, Bus 109, and I've had the pleasure of having that bus for 5 years. Which means a lot to me because I've gotten to know my students and they respect me, and I've gotten to, pass along my information for 5 years, and they know me, and they know I'm real strict every day about bus safety. And bus safety is where my heart lies truly here in the district. And this is Rory. And the reason we don't have a picture of my co-chair is because this is her picture. She spends most of her time being Rory, and the kids love Rory, so she kind of hides behind him.
I love Rory. The kids just, they do. Then if they see me, they're like, hi, Rory. It makes my day.
And finally, the eagle to represent the bus safety team, because we feel we truly soar above any other bus safety team. And we hope that because we are soaring into a new school year, that we can still find a way to keep bus safety and teach our students to be safe, whether it be virtual or social distancing, but we hope we can still continue with the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, ladies. Great job.
I knew somebody was going to.
How do I know if it's signed up? Oh, it's signed up. Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, no, that was a great job.
Thank you.
The problem is trying, I think we have to have one made. Okay.
Yeah, just,
All right.
That was great.
That was great. That was really great. Next on our discussion is our district goals for 20 and 21. Carla, I don't know if you want to kind of go over how you reorganized.
Bring me up, like this with you, Ron.
Did you ask Carla a question?
Yeah.
I was going to say, Carla, do you want to kind of go over the goals and how you restructured?
Yeah, we were at the meeting. Sorry. Okay, so anyway, what Melissa wrote is at the top, obviously, and all I did was incorporated, even written the same language, I just incorporated it into the goals we already have there, because they did seem to fit. They, it was just a matter of updating our goals that we already have. But then, if you notice where the red is, new goal, that was what was left over from that new one that Melissa wrote. and I set it up as a new goal, but it doesn't, and I didn't know where to put it really. So I put it there just because of the last two then are kind of incorporating more people. But I put it there, but it could be anywhere, you know, could be people like that, kind of remove it. So that's all it is, I just, you know, set it up, so we updated our language for all the goals, and then,
Right, so it's really taking that new goal that really addressed the pandemic and all the things we're doing and incorporating it into what we're
Yeah.
already doing.
there's really 5 separate, I saw it as 5 goals at the top.
Sure.
And and I was just trying to keep with the focus, every other goal that we have was focused on one topic, rather than have 5 in one point. So that's why I separated it out. So that's, anybody got questions or suggestions?
It looks good to me.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Anyone?
No, I'm good.
Is that placement okay for the new one? We okay with that?
So the new one reads, the district will continue to adapt to the complications caused by the pandemic by reassessing and offering safety measures that exceed the standards of the department.
So I think I might be the one holdout that linked it all together as one goal, because I think it addresses some really unique circumstances. But that being said, I think breaking it up into the existing goals is, I have no complaints about that. So if that's what everyone else likes, then I'm fine with that too. I'm fine with it either way, so whatever the majority.
Once they're approved by the board, then we'll make up any posters that we have in all of our buildings, so that we'll get, you know, things down so that they're on new.
Is everybody good with this then?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And next up on the list are the reopening updates.
Well, we don't really have any updates. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about athletics because that's one of the new topics out there. So what we have, Governor Cuomo gave the New York State Athletic Department the green light for fall sports to begin on 9/21. Football and volleyball may begin to practice, but they're not going to be allowed to compete yet. So I think there's still going to be more guidance in what Section 6 and what the state athletic department is doing in terms of what, for more guidance for what districts will do and what exactly that means.
Is volleyball usually?
Well, volleyball is usually winter, I think. No, is volleyball in fall? No, it's fall. It's fall. So they can practice, but they can't compete yet.
What about the other, like soccer?
So right,
Same
so
with all of them?
no, so these are the only two that can practice but not compete yet. The other fall sports, at least right now, are able to practice and compete starting on the 21st. So cross country, I think they mentioned lacrosse, but swimming, tennis. So basically things where there is that distance to begin with, where they're going to be able to compete. So we're waiting for further guidance in terms of what that means for football and for volleyball. And I think when you think about volleyball, how close they are to the net with each other, you know, when they're playing, you know, so again, the start of the winter season has been moved back from November 16th to the 30th. And we're supposed to be getting some more documentation and information from the association by Friday the 4th. So we'll know more then. There's something that came out today in terms of if the student is a remote student, full remote, they are still able to participate in the sport. We just had that guidance today.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Sure. So if the student is 100% remote, they chose not to be in person for the 2 days, they still are allowed to participate. They are allowed to participate in sports.
Assuming they have, parents have to transfer. We don't.
Right. So there is no requirement for us to transport kids on the days when they're either remote or if they're not in school in person that day. You know, so if the child can't make it on that particular day, then obviously it can't be held against the child for not making practice because they might not be able to get transportation.
So one, really getting into fine detail of it, but. So transportation related, obviously you would have to account for the number of students. You may be in an extra sports runs for away games or away games, right?
Right, so it depends upon what's going, so typically, we wanted to transport all of our kids, you know, to events that are away. But we had talked about allowing parents to drive to and from. Many times the parents were allowed to drive back home after an event, and it was fine. So, especially with some of our older kids, and they drive themselves, but, so there might be some kids that are gonna be able to go home, you know, or get a ride from their parent to and from the game. So that's something we're gonna be looking at with the athletes once we start games, to see what the parents' opportunity and availability is, and then we'll have to work out transportation to away games.
So I know one thing in the past, and my daughter plays soccer, a lot of our kids who play school sports, is typically if it's an away game, it's only a parent who's able to bring their own child home.
Right.
Is that being relaxed at all this year?
Well, I think that,
Talk about, like, you know, it's a close family friend or.
A cousin.
Right.
well, I think that might be something that we can talk about in terms of what we want to do.
Just have to get a release statement.
Right, so we can talk with our board attorney and see if there's some type of a waiver or some kind of a statement that the parent can sign, sort of like if a child drives the BOCES, they are allowed to have at least one passenger with them, and then both parents have to sign off on allowing that child to drive their child to and from BOCES. So it'll be something similar to that. So we have a little bit of time because it doesn't start until 25th.
So what are these practices gonna look like? Do students have to be 6 or 12 feet apart? Are they wearing masks to practice? What is that gonna look like?
That's a very good question. So they are gonna have to design things so that kids are reduced, that's a good question.
That's what I'm hoping
You know,
will come
so-
to guidance.
Right, exactly. So I was a football coach for many years, so I don't really know exactly how you social distance football unless you're doing certain kinds of drills that don't have that kind of contact. So, you're gonna be using a lot of dummies. You know, somebody holding, probably a coach with a face mask holding it, and maybe the kid's not wearing helmets. You know, or right, or kids wearing helmets, but then when they go back in line, they have to make sure they're 6 feet apart because they're taking turns. No tackling drills, that kind of thing right now.
Well, I think this is concerning because I think we can all argue, or, you know, we all say we don't want our students to lose their sports season, and the sports are a really important part of the school experience. That being said, we have professional sports teams that have to live in bubbles that are quarantined, that are being tested weekly, and still they come out positive, so.
And that's what I was just thinking. I don't see how soccer is any different.
I agree.
You know, there's
How is
scrapping for
soccer
that
different than
ball.
volleyball? Because they're still, excuse me, I think I'd be able to get that ball away from you if I could come close, so could maybe you just give it to me and
Very polite.
I think the difference is volleyball and football is hand.
or
Touching the ball.
But I think you're
Touching
still,
each other's hands. Well, yeah,
I know you're kicking, you're not touching.
but you still have body contact. So I think there are, I really hope this
This is
guidance
what
is
everybody's
gonna,
caring about.
is gonna help me feel better about this.
Care about shoulders.
Because I don't wanna see anybody lose their sports season, but I have a lot of concerns about student safety.
well, you know, and that's why, yeah, we're gonna go by whatever guidance that the association give us and what it was from.
I thought the letter that the superintendent sent was right on the money. Did you send, you did send it, right? I mean,
It was NISCUS, so the New York State Council for School Superintendents sent something to the governor about school sports, and it wasn't obviously sent on behalf of all superintendents because each district might have different feelings about sports. You know, so it depends upon where you live and what's going on in a particular community. But the gist of the letter talked about giving us a little bit more time so that we can get school off and running for a little bit more time and then thinking about sports secondarily. But again, when you're thinking about sports and this kinds of things that it brings to kids, social and emotional, and their well-being, I mean, sports are important. For many kids, sports is one of the reasons why they enjoy coming to school, because it gives them that outlet and, you know, that friendship and that discipline to be able to do well in school, because they have to be able, if you want to stay in the team, they have to do well. You know, so again, it's not an ideal situation. You know, everything is fluid. Some things self-correct, as Melissa likes to say. And we'll follow the guidelines that we have to, and we'll make sure that the coaches are doing what they need to do, in terms of temperature checking if they need to do that. And so they'll have handheld scanners to bring the scanners for the wrist and things. So
Where do the coaches stand with this?
well,
Are they comfortable coaching?
I haven't heard of any
There
coach.
been any
Yeah, I haven't heard of any coach that has said I don't want to coach. I mean, they're ready.
There's just been so many trouble out, not here, I'm not saying at Lakeshore, but out there that teachers don't want to even go back to the classroom out of fear. So I would be shocked if they would want to.
I think coaches are different. We're a different breed, right? So they just want to get out there. So I think generally I think that the coaches are good with the training that they'll get in terms of what they need to do, and they know that they'll follow the safety precautions and they feel safe. You know, because they've seen sports out in the communities being played on the weekends, and those kinds of things happening. So they're ready to go. They probably would have wanted to start the way they normally would have if they could have, but they're just not allowed. So to talk a little bit about orientation, so we do have our orientation set up that are coming. Ninth grade orientation is set for tomorrow from 8 to 9:30. There's two different sessions, 10:30 to 12. Sixth grade orientation, we have three groups coming in. The green group, from 8 to 8:30, we have Evolution, Unity, and Evelyn. Kindergarten orientation is from 9 to 10 and 10 to 11, two different groups. And the buildings have sent out their schedules to their parents, so they know when it is they're supposed to be coming. And then we have another ninth grade orientation on the 3rd, again, 8:30 to 9:30, 10:30 to 12. Another sixth grade orientation, Evolution and Unity, the white group. And then UPK is going to be 9 a.m. On the 3rd. Now, in terms of getting ready for reopening, I think that we have all of our PPE in place for the classrooms and for anybody that needs what they need to have in order to feel safe. We've been meeting with the groups, you know, all summer long, getting ideas from people, and you know, with the remote that we're going to be doing, that first month we're going to really take a look at what the technology needs are for kids. And then at some point possibly move into having technology sent at home in a prioritized list for those students that might need technology first, if we need to keep going in that manner. We have our certain students coming in Tuesday through Friday that have special needs, and I was at the PCA training today, and they were really excited about coming back. You know, and they're working with kids very closely. So it takes a special person to work with a special ed child, you know, one-on-one like that. And even that closeness of, so we have face shields for those professionals that want to use it. We can have face shields for the children to be able to wear while they're working with the PCA. So there'll be more times when they're closer together where they might be wearing a mask more often than other kids, but at the same time, they'll be able to have that break, you know, with the PCA being there. So I think that, Melissa, if you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that teachers are doing in terms of curriculum and things that they're doing, but there's really been a lot going on in the past couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. So the core departments met today to either review the power standards that they created over the summer or to develop or select the power standards that they'll use this year. So they did that. The elementary groups met over the last couple weeks and then presented today to the whole elementary, all the teachers about the things that we're going to do for science, ELA, math, and social studies, from the devil the details to the power standards. We talked about if you have a science kit and you have your desk 6 feet apart, what that might look like if you don't even really have a spare table in your room because of the way things are separated. So we've had a lot of good discussion about how instruction can look a little different this year, so I like that. We have special ed departments meeting, and they're creating by kid the way that they are going to make sure that they meet the IEPs. So whether they're full remote or hybrid or 4 days a week, we should be getting a schedule by kid to say, this is how we think we can meet the needs of all the IEPs, and start reaching out to parents next week or this week. Some of them are doing it, some of it might be next week. We have some training for some of our special ed teachers, because we have some incoming students who have some specialized needs in vision. So we had someone come in and help teach us on specific equipment. So that's just some of the things. I mean, there's a lot more, but those are the big picture. But we've given people a lot of time just for room setup, and so that they feel comfortable in their own space. They're working on classroom management. I know it sounds so silly, but they're working out really great strategies. One person, what we do is we try to say, I'm the teacher, and because I'm talking, I'll be wearing the mask today. When I stop talking, I may pull it off if I'm uncomfortable, but I may feel more comfortable leaving it on. So we're going to model that. Kids will know the same, but we'll ask kids when they talk, put the mask on. Otherwise, they may take it off or keep it on to their own comfort level. Some people put up tables in the front of their room, and they say to the kids, if I start walking past this table, everybody please put your mask on, because you know that I'm not going to be able to social distance you, but as you can see what you're doing on your laptop or on your paper or whatever they're doing. So a lot of that, just thinking through what will my class look like day to day, and how can I feel safe and make kids feel safe. And so those are the sorts of things we're making sure that they're getting all their PPE they need or want, and addressing a whole lot of questions, in all different ways, which is really good.
Thank you. We also were informed that in terms of student lunches and breakfast, we'll be able to go to universal, what's the terminology?
Universal free meals.
Universal free meals, the way we did since the pause. So we won't have to worry about keeping track of who's paid and who's unpaid. If parents have, who's free or who's reduced, if parents have money left on their account, they can keep it on there and hold it until maybe when this is over, they might have to start paying again. Or if they would really need to have the refund, all they have to do is contact Dan's office, and then we'll be able to send them a refund check for whatever's in their account. So they'll be able to get that money back if they would like it.
Or they can use it for a la carte.
Or they can use it for a la carte, right? So like if they want to ask for it.
Do you think this might impact the number of applications we get for free or reduced price lunch?
Well, we're still asking people to put them in. Absolutely, yeah. So that's in their packet already.
Critical for our.
So that's one of the things that I'll make sure that the building principals send when they talk to parents, and send things home to parents, that if they realize.
So we get a better tool
Right.
for measuring.
Right.
For
I know.
foundation aid and for our students.
The good part is now for the parents who are picking up breakfasts and lunches for the kids while they're remote, either 5 days or for the 3 days that they're home, we don't have to worry about collecting cash in the parking lot or marking rosters or whatever. It's just
No, I think this is
counts like
a
we can.
great thing. I'm glad that we're doing it.
Yeah, me too. I just wish they would have let us know before August
I
31st, but better late than never.
Yeah.
And we've really had a lot of great response from our reopening email that we've had parents open for them to be able to ask us questions. We're going to send something out so that parents know that I believe Friday would be the last day for that particular email to be used, so then they can direct their questions directly to their building principal. Because now that we're going to be up and running a little bit, a lot of the questions are more specific to the building, so that to ask. Because usually it's myself or Melissa, and sometimes Dan will give Dan the money questions. So they can go right to the source and ask the principal directly, so that it's not a cutoff. I don't want people to think that parents still can't ask questions if they have concerns, but they can email the principals directly then and let us know. So I think that we're in a good place in terms of opening. We still have a couple more days with the teachers, and then we're looking at where the pickups would be for the parents that are remote, in terms of having one central pickup for the work for their students when they're home, instead of having it at 3 different buildings, if you happen to have one at each level, to take a look at maybe having a central location for them to pick it up at one building.
Will that cause any trouble with getting materials from one building to this central location?
No.
Time-wise, I mean,
So to begin with,
To begin with.
it'll be a little funky because we're going to expect people to go to the home building. And then we'll accommodate if needed. It's really hard to get everything over there and organized. And it puts a lot of demand on personal touch. Granted, I could stand there and do it, so forth, but in the end, we're gonna be scurrying over there when we can have a system in place that can feel a little smoother by building. So we're gonna play it by ear and see, what people might need to accommodate. And just for now, if I have a high school student, middle school, and AJ, we'll just say, here it is, and then when they start saying, hey, this is a bit much, can we do something different, then we'll work it out for sure. We're not gonna predict, I would rather just say, because someone might say, I'm not picking up meals, I don't need to go to middle school, I can just go to my AJ building. So we don't want to assume anything, we want to say, how can we better serve you?
what about the schoolwork itself?
The schoolwork. Because originally we were gonna have it shipped all to the middle school so that when you picked up lunches, you also picked up food, which causes a mass. In some cases it could, with that short window. So right now, the work is by building.
Right, so we have 2 different plans in place. The building, and then if we need to, switch to the middle school for some families that might need to do that, so. And once we get moving, we'll know better once we actually start living the dream.
So I know we're starting with paper work for students on remote. Are there devices being distributed also?
So right now, we're not distributing devices. We're sending out surveys to the parents about what they do have at home and with any kind of device, if they have Wi-Fi, what they need, training the students while we're in school so that they know how to get onto Google platform and all the different things that we have for them to use technology-wise. And then get ready to have a prioritized list of who might need what first, and then take it from there. See when we can start loaning them out to people that need them with the prioritized list. Teachers can still send out technology-based resources. So a child might have that at home, and might not need that's remote, might not need a device from us. So there'll still be a way for them to access those kinds of activities, in addition to what they'll be getting in paper. One of the things that we found from the survey that we sent to parents was they really like the flexibility of having the paper and having Mondays and then times Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for teachers to reach out to the remote kids and the kids at home. Hopefully we'll be able to help with that so that it's smoother than it was during the pause.
The students not attending the hybrid, do the percentages vary by building?
They do. Overall, we're about 8.5% district-wide. And WA has the most, I think. I want to say it's about 12 or 13%. But Highland only had 10 students at one point. The other day, it went up to 16. So really just depends.
We have from what we learned in the spring, an idea of how many devices we think we'll need to roll out.
Well, we left out 435 in the beginning during the pause. Just back there, I think we had maybe about 400 or 500 left over. So we don't really know if people just didn't ask for them because of everything else going on, and it just wasn't at the top of their mind. So that's why this will be a little bit different, because we really won't know until we start going into it, see what people need.
Just to clarify, so the kids that are all remote, that are choosing not to come to school, what will it look like for them? Please.
So they will get the same materials that are distributed to kids who come to school. So the kids who come on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they're going to get a set of things to take home. When the teachers are preparing those, They take that down to the main office where they have, I'm envisioning an envelope, I don't know what other buildings do exactly, with someone's name on it. It goes into that packet and they take that home. From there, depending on the level, so I'll start with 6 through 12. For 6 through 12, on Mondays, teachers are gonna put in there a schedule where they know that they can go to their ELA, their math, their social science, if they have questions or they need a check-in of the work coming home. Because many parents have said to me, I've got this. But they like that there be a check-in point where they say, if I have a question about something that was sent home, how can I do it? But some of them are taking full responsibility and say, I'll just do this and my kids, you don't need to feel it. But the other ones, there will be an ELA on Monday, a math, a social studies, a science, all the electives and so forth. So if a kid doesn't understand something, come to that session. Whether I'm hybrid and you've given me the work and I've forgotten what to do, or I'm full remote and I don't understand something, or I need a mini lesson around it. So Mondays are full design around that right now. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all secondary teachers have a help session normally, like when we're just in our normal world. So those, they'll have a link that kids can go to call in or Google Meet in to ask questions or get help the way that they want. So 4 days a week out of 5. The 5th day for secondary is a little different with contractual. They leave a little earlier, so there isn't that help session designed that way. And then elementary, Monday, same thing. Each teacher every teacher K-12 has that remote kit on their list, so they know that they're part of it. Information goes home, they prepare the information, send it home. And then on Mondays, they'll have, if you want to tune in, because some parents said, my kids will be in daycare or grandma's and will not be able to tune in. So they'll say, but if we can tune in, here it is, here's how you call, here's how you check in, that's on Mondays. Now, Tuesday through Friday, because our elementary teachers don't have a natural health session built in, we have taken an AIS position, and she's part AIS, part district-wide remote K-5, and she's going to be almost like I would call, I'm making this up because I'm talking, so I don't know if I'd use this on a paper, but I would say, I call this person the ambassador. That's what I told them today. You are the person that's going to represent our elementary remote. You're our Wegmans. You're going to make them feel as good as they can feel around this. So 2 times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, spread out. There will be a spot for K, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of one-stop shop. Here's the link you would use every week. If you have a kindergarten question district-wide, she's going to be there for you. So she may not say, I don't know maybe what the teacher at Highland gave you. Well, let's talk it through. And okay, I'm going to reach out to that teacher and have her call you or have her reach out to you via email. How may she do that? What's best for you? And offer that kind of thing. So if there's a math question, the teacher can help with that. So that's what we have. It's not the best because I don't have anything else to offer. Some teachers are choosing to try to live stream, but it's not many. Their choice. I'm not asking them to do it. They have a really good solid plan in place of where the camera will be pointed, how it protects the kids in the class so they all can't see each other. And we're way okay with them trying that. And that's what we have. And so the beginning, I don't have this at home, right? Because maybe I don't have technology. There's a phone number for every Google Meet. You've probably seen in some of them you participated, people were on the phone. Most, probably 100%, I wouldn't say that of course, but most will be able to call in. Especially if I have a first grader as a mom, I can call in and say, hey, this is the teacher, this is what I'm struggling with, can someone get hold of me? And then if we start to hand out technology with that. Now, meanwhile, in the afternoon on Mondays or mornings, depending on how the schedule's set up, teachers are allotted so many hours a day, and their goal and their big job is they need to get resources available for parents who say, I've got this, but maybe could you put a video up of how to do number bounds in 2nd grade? And so, and I told them it has to be something that I could do on this, right? Because not all of us come home from work and want to sit with our kids and do this, but I can certainly get on and watch a quick number bound video the night before I have to help my 2nd grader and can watch it and then help the 2nd grader. So we're really trying. I know there's going to be bumps along the way. of how we're going to do it, because we're trying to train all kids on Google Classroom. But then what's going to happen is we're going to start releasing the technology, and then we're not all kids are going to have it all the time when they're in school, because they're going to need it at home, and then it's going to get a little, I feel like a little murky at times, but we'll work through it. It's just that's the way we're going to start. We're going to try to get that system in place.
So kids who are not coming physically to school and are staying home are learning on their own.
They're learning through just Google Meets.
If they do.
If they do it. We are told that if we return the paperwork, they're returning the paperwork every week. So there's this, how to come pick up the new, drop off the old, the teachers are grading it. And so there is a high expectation and high bar. You have to turn this back. Any parent I talk to, I say, I'm not selling the remote. It's not as good as having teachers in front of you. This hybrid is really hard, even that's hard, but at least the teachers see you 2 days a week. Full remote, I really raise the bar for those kids and say, you have to come pick up the packet, you have to drop it off. We can't be delivering everything. You have to take some responsibility. And this, and they're really good about it. They said, we've got this. I'll assume the responsibility. I understand. I get touch points during the week. I don't have enough staff to offer all the other stuff.
Yeah. And the hybrid, so they're learning, and when they're with the teacher the 2 days, they're learning material. The 3 other days is just practicing what they've learned. Kids are they having to go home and learn material on their other material on their own?
Well, I said no. I just we'll have to watch that. You know, I feel like we'll get ambitious because we're going to be nervous, but that is not the intent. I say you can try to extend the learning, to practice the learning. We Katie Werner always says, like in class, I do for you, then we'll do it together, and then remote is you're going to do it. You're going to practice, and we'll give you different ways to apply what you've learned. Now, if we can get the things in hands where everybody can tune in, then they could use Mondays where people, but what do I do for the kid who can't turn in? Or who can't tune in, even if I'm a high school kid and I have to watch my little brother and I can't go to my physics class, then what? So we have to be prepared for videos and support, but can we hold them accountable to that level? I don't know.
So, and they're not being held responsible for any online material at home, because we can't guarantee that all students have that ability to do that, correct? I just want to make sure it's very clear. So if someone asks me and is upset and says, they're being accused, my kid's being held, is getting a bad grade because we don't have internet and I'm not turning in some kind of remote thing. And I just want to make sure that I can say, well, okay, they shouldn't be, so please call the principal, because that is wrong.
That's exactly what you should say.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I understand it before I get someone upset.
And I think we're still very, it's just so new to all of us. So Friday or Thursday of this week, day 4, is fully dedicated. They have a full day except for the little orientation pieces here and there to design what they're going to do to send home. So today I think I'm still answering it. Do I do a kind of a pop-up tomorrow somewhere and say, who wants to talk remote with me, and send out a link and come on and let's talk some more, because I've been doing a lot of individual discussions. We've done some whole group, but there's still some worry and confusion, and not, we just want to get it right. And so I just feel like the more we talk it, the better it will be. But yes, they should call, ask good questions, because some people, we just are going to be confused about, we're still a little confused, even Jeff knows, we are still trying to figure out attendance through today, and we still don't really have a great way to even take attendance for remote days. But no, nobody should be penalized, but the phrase someone used with me one day, a parent from here, and I love the way she said it. She goes, I'm choosing remote, number one, because of, I just feel uncomfortable right now. But she was, my vision is to get my kids back in school, but she said, I know I need to assume the partnership with you. She said, if you can get me the stuff, if you have people who can answer questions, I know I have to assume a burden on this. And it kind of stuck with me that we have to, if we choose remote, we have to know we're going to have to take a lot on our own at home too. So I'm trying to go with that and trust that we all are partners.
What is the time frame if somebody's on remote starting? How long do they have to wait if they were, let's say, monitoring how things were going and they wanted to re-enter into the hybrid?
You want to do that?
Sure. Well, we had asked elementary parents, we're doing trimester, so for the first trimester would be November, and for middle and high school would be a semester. But again, if a parent calls and says, there's been a change, whatever that change might be, we would work with them. It might take a little while because we'd have, as you saw with the busing, we'd have to see if they're, if they're not busing, if they're driving, it might be quicker. So we would just need, maybe a week turnaround time to be able to switch it around. But again, we can't be going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Right.
So that's why we really want parents, and again, we'll have the individual conversation with each particular family to make sure that this is what we're doing.
Social distancing in the classroom, we know that.
Correct, right, so they might, so they're, correct, so.
Right, so that's,
Yeah, I mean, you have Silver Creek who's not letting them back.
That's true.
right.
They're saying, you gotta wait for that.
Right. That's why we're gonna take it by case basis.
Yeah, the
I don't
dilemma
agree
is,
with that either. I don't know. Situation changes at home. I don't know why we're penalizing.
The idea was to try to get kids into the field work. So
Right.
it's hard, we're trying to be respectful to all, right? Including the person standing up in front of the room and the kids sitting in the room day to day, and what might happen if people start trickling in. Because if I teach a class that's just September to the end of January, that semester class, and someone wants to pop in and see me in December, and maybe hasn't been doing all the work, we're just trying to play all that out. What are the circumstances? But we all know they're better in front of us, right? They're better here if they feel safe, if we can social distance. So we want to, but we really set the stage that this is a big decision.
Well, so what is the, and I don't remember seeing it, I apologize. What is the procedure for picking up material for a parent?
Each building has set their time that they're going to do it. They may still be pushing that out because we were literally just decided the other day, because we were waiting to hear lunch and you guys just met last week. So each building is setting a window that works for them and how they can house it and so forth. So I can't tell you exactly because that was something today I even thought about. I talked to Joe Clark for a little bit about it and what they're going to do. So I can't tell you for sure. Then we have to push that out to by building to see what they can.
I mean, the idea being, are these going to be packets that are in the office? Have you seen?
Yeah, that idea. Yeah, there'd be a window where we know it might be low impact time. There might be someone sitting with the material in the entryway. They wanted to do it by building rather than whole district, knowing the coverage that they have, and knowing, like, we don't want to pick 9 o'clock across the district because that's when buses and kids are still coming in at the elementary. So each one's picking their own. Paula was going to try to align with the lunches, for example.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about two parents working. And is it going to be the case that anybody can pick up that child's packet?
Yeah.
An older brother, a grandmother, a neighbor?
Yep, there'll be a name of the student on the packet.
How many students are going remote? Do you have that number? Like, what big of an impact would this be?
Well, totally about, like I said, 8.7, 8.8%. So I think it's roughly, I'm just trying to remember the number that I saw just earlier today. It's about 125 students.
I think it might be more.
So,
I remember it was 8.5%.
well, 10% is 10% is 200. So it might be 150. Yeah.
I think it was up about 100.
So it's a decent sized impact. I mean,
Yeah,
it's going to be.
we're getting them today, right? So I'm having, it's hard. Like Eric just texted me, he must be watching. Hi, Eric. 58 remote kids. So middle school's now at 12%. So
That went up.
it went up very quickly. I got another one today from middle school. That reopening thing, that they're coming in every day. And we try to talk about what the comfort level is or discomfort, just to try to get a feel. And sometimes it's as simple as, well, my neighbors and I have decided, they've talked.
I think you're going to see one more spike of it with the swipe spike we saw with the county and the governor's comment as well.
Right.
And they've got probably some of it. And my last question on that is, high school, as a percentage, is that our lowest percentage?
Off the top of my head, I'd have to look, I think it's 7 or 8%. Because again, it changed, like we just changed the other day for Highland. You know, but the middle school was lower. The Highland was the lowest at 120, they probably still are, but again, they went from 10 kids to 16 this year. I can send you the numbers. Yeah, very current, yeah, because it's changed since Friday.
Yeah.
Right, it's changed since Friday when I had sent you guys my years ago, so it's each day, right, in another hour, I'd like to do more.
So is there a deadline for notifying the district if you're going to remote only? Like, would that be Friday?
Well,
Or,
we didn't really put a deadline out there other than to try to be able to prepare for September when we're opening school. I mean, somebody could say after a week, you know, I really don't like this, I want to go hybrid. I mean, I want to go remote. That's easier for us to do in one respect because there's one less child in the building in terms of PPE and those kinds of things. But then it's one more child we have to get things ready for, you know, to make sure that we're helping that child out the best we can too. You know, so, but we really won't know until that.
I mean, we thought about putting a deadline out, but in the end, if they tell us okay, the first day of school, they're not here and taking their remote. So I don't know.
If we have kids that don't show up, we will certainly call them. We don't know.
But we've had people register today even to come to our school, and we don't have time to get their records, so they won't even be here for the first day of school because they'll be in the green group, and our white group is very lopsided. So we really need, everybody else is green. It's just way it's going to have to be, and
especially
we're going to miss the first day of school.
Especially at the high school too, because the CTE, having the CTE kids be the white group on Thursday and Friday, we want to make sure that the high school isn't too heavy on one group than the other.
And I think the Perry scheduling the kids 13 on a bus with those changes coming daily.
Yeah.
And the kids in and out and trying to reroute and keep everybody covered. This is a lot of work, a lot of detail.
Any other questions?
I just say that I think I'm so in awe of everything that you've put together for all of our kids. I'm just, it overwhelms me, you know? It's wonderful. Thank you.
Well,
It's really been a team effort.
we talk
I was just gonna say, it's
confidently.
definitely a team effort.
Like, I know, so you'll hear someone that says we're not doing it right, and I keep planning, you know, we'll just keep planning and accommodating. I talked to the group, they're sick of hearing it, you know, I go to Wegmans and all these little things they do to make my life a little, feel safer and easier. We're just trying to do that Wegmans model, the customer service and so forth, and it's overwhelming daily. Most of us are, I mean, I've been so proud of all that we've done. I really am, and so I'm trying to stay proud, even when we're gonna get knocked down a little bit here and there, you know, and that's just life, right? So, but if there are problems, I just rather people tell us, not, you know, just say what isn't working, and we'll help with that. You know, we're working really hard to figure out special ed. I mean, there are people choosing full remote. How am I supposed to do physical therapy? How am I supposed to do that? You know, and I don't think our kids are going to hurt deeply without some of these services done well, and I don't know how to do that well. If you don't want to be near people, I can't send, you know, and I don't send people to houses, so we'll give it a whirl, see how it goes.
Anything else? All right. So at this time, I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment history of particular individuals and to discuss collective negotiations. No action will be taken during executive session. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks for coming, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Have a good night.
Thank you for coming, Jack and Kim. Chris, don't put this in the paper.
I think we might want to take a 5.
Guys,